Hey, it's Dr. Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and today we're going to touch on this subject. How much should you charge for your Invisalign or ClearCorrect case? And I'm going to kind of stick with aligners, not go into the whole braces thing or the whole phase 1 interceptive ortho thing. But I kind of skirted around this topic a little bit, like how much should you be charging? Because it's really not my business how much you charge, and I don't love the idea of, telling people what to charge. You should charge what you think you should charge. And a lot of that's going to depend on like a zillion different variables and so there's no way I can really tell you what to charge. I can give you a range, but a lot of it's going to depend on what you're offering. And I find so often that doctors go into Invisalign or ClearCorrect without setting up their systems, without setting up their operations. That should be done first. How is this going to work? What am I offering? What is the process like? And until you figure out all of that, you can't figure out how much you're going to charge. So I'm going to take you through a lot of different variables. And from there, I mean, it's probably going to like literally make your mind swim. But you have to figure all this out. So you should be meeting with your back office staff, your office manager, any consultants who work for you. Of course, I always strongly recommend that you do work with an orthodontist on your first 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 cases, because you're going to screw them up otherwise. It just will happen, guaranteed, because that's part of what that's part of what pays my bills, is helping people fix their screw ups, and everyone screws up. So you're going to save so much more money paying a consultant to help you with your first bundle of cases and not screwing them up, because you're going to like it so much better and you're going to understand it so much better. But ultimately, I'm not here to sell my help. I'm here to give you free information, because that's what we're all about. So first variable you got to keep in mind is, where are you located? Are you in a small town? Are you in a big city? Are you in a more urban place? What you have to do some secret shopping. What are the doctors around you charging for similar service? But you have to compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges. So you got to really know what's included. So you have to know what questions to ask. Just because they're charging $29.99, $39.99, $49.99, $59.99, unless you ask all the questions, you don't really know if you're charging something comparably. And a savvy and educated consumer will ask these questions. So you need to have the answers to the questions in order to develop your program, your orthodontic program, as well as your product. What are you offering? And ortho is not a short-term fix, and I think most general dentists, they forget they're used to doing a 1 or a 2-step process, patients in and out, so it's easy to charge. Ortho is like, it's a marathon, and it includes a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of intangibles that you need to include or not include, and you must be upfront with your patient as to what is included. Not everyone does things the same, okay? Otherwise there's going to be issues. And the number one complaint that I see when I see reviews for doctors who are providing ortho, and this is not usually to the orthodontist because they got their systems down, this is to y'all that are out there doing this, is that you don't have your systems down. You don't know what you're including. So patients expecting X, Y, and Z, and you're giving them A, B, and C, and they're mad because you were not clear, and that's on you. So, okay, so do some secret shopping. Obviously, that means, a lot of times the way I would secret shop is, patients would come in and they'd be like, hey, I already had a consult with Dr. So-and-so down the street. Oh, that's great. Tell me a little bit more. A lot of times they're going to bust out this whole pamphlet, and folder with what's included, what they recommended, how many months, what appliances, etc., etc. And then I have some idea of what other people are charging. So that's an easy way to do it. But hey, your staff and your team and your friends can go secret shopping. They can go there and get a consult. Usually consults are free for Ortho. So go find out what's included, what people are charging. You don't necessarily want to be the cheapest, but you definitely don't want to be the most expensive. So you want to kind of be in the middle. I think if you're the cheapest, you're going to get that kind of people. So that's not always a good thing. What else? Okay, so other thing you got to keep in mind is that if you are a general dentist or a primary care dentist, you really shouldn't be the highest price person. You should be about $1,000 under the orthodontist who's nearby. So you shouldn't try to be a comparable price. It's just not going to happen. They're allowed to charge more. They should charge more because they are specialists. And then there's going to be a lot of patients that know there's good primary care dentists that can do good ortho, and maybe their case isn't that hard, and they feel comfortable going to you and trusting you, and they're glad they get to pay, get a better value. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you need to be clear and tell them that you aren't an orthodontist and you've done some cases, but you haven't done a lot of cases. So they should expect things to be a little bit slower and maybe not as streamlined. And that's, you got to be clear about that. What else? I always strongly recommend that you submit all your cases, at least the first 100, 200, 300, 500, as complete cases. So that means Invisalign Comprehensive. Do not do Assist. And I've got a million videos on why you shouldn't do Assist. You can look them up. If you want to watch those videos, you can go to my YouTube channel, put in the search bar Straightsmile Solutions. That takes you to my YouTube channel. From there, you can go to the little magnifying glass towards the top right and put in the word Assist. The keyword will bring up all my videos. Do the same thing with Go. Do the same thing with Express. You are a fool if you use those, okay? You will lose money and your patients will be unhappy. And I've got dozens of videos that explain why every single case should be comprehensive until you get your groove on, which is going to take 100, 200, 300 cases. Even in our offices, where we have a ton of experience, we pretty much do almost every case is comprehensive. Why? Well, I've got dozens of videos explaining why. So, and all the benefits. And I think Invisalign will tell you the same thing. And this goes same thing with ClearCorrect as well. You do every case as unlimited. Watch the videos as to why. It's the same concept as Invisalign Comprehensive. Just watch those videos. Okay. So that will be the first thing. And you know, you're going to get cheap patients that come in that are going to want to pay per aligner. Well, they can go to smiledirectclub. Goodbye. You know, that's not the patient you want, because I'm going to tell you, until you get your systems down, and unless you have the perfect treatment plan, and you have all your check-in processes, you have virtual checking software up and low running, which I know you don't. You have your whole tracking systems up and running, and I've got literally tons of videos on that. It will not track, and you're going to end up losing money on this case. You will lose money. It happens all the time. Patient will be unhappy, you'll be unhappy, and it's going to be a nightmare. So don't, if the patient's trying to be controlling like that, goodbye. Now, once you get your systems up and running, I don't have a problem with you doing like white label in-house aligners. I'm not saying you have to get a 3D printer. You can outsource all that. I do those, and we do those in our office for that kind of crazy simple case. But we also have the experience of knowing what crazy simple is. You don't know. We know. So, and that's one of the things that you can run by an orthodontist who knows what they're doing, who has tons of experience with aligners. A lot of orthodontists don't have a lot of experience with aligners. So you need to find that person that's done tens of thousands of cases to be like, yes, definitively you could do this as a 7 case. But in our office also, we do not do limited cases. We do not do these kind of like flex, you know, expressy cases without having virtual tracking systems in order, okay? And again, I'm not going to go into all that because I have dozens of videos on that. Put in the word aligner tracking, Invisalign tracking into the keywords and watch all those videos. You must have those up and running. Otherwise, you will lose money. Guaranteed. And by the way, if you want the introduction to any of these white label companies, you don't have to own any software. You don't have to own any printers. $20 per aligner. Give me a holler, send me an email. I'm glad to introduce you. This is by introduction only. I need to talk to you a little bit first, make sure you're a good fit. But you can email me at info@straightsmilesolutions.com or go to straightsmilesolutions.com and hit contact us, and we'll be glad to introduce you. If you are in the US, it's $20 per aligner. If you're outside, you're going to have to talk to them and see how that's going to work. Most likely, they may not work with you if you're outside the US. Okay, so we went through the things so far. A lot of it's going to depend on where you are, doing some secret shopping. What are you offering? Everyone should be comprehensive or unlimited. That's a main thing. You need to get your virtual tracking up and running. You can use Invisalign Virtual. You can use AlignFlow. You can use dental monitoring. You will not be successful with aligners unless you have that up and running. Invisalign has a free resource if you're using theirs. Before, ClearCorrect was offering dental monitoring for free. I don't know if they still are. That's a question to ask them. I doubt they are. They might have a discount. I like AlignFlow because it's very affordable. You can get started for as little as, I think it's $149 a month for up to 30 cases. Easy dashboard, easy to use, HIPAA compliant. But you know, I don't care what you're using, but you need to do it. You're not going to be successful if you don't start doing this. What else? Okay. So, and the benefit of getting the virtual stuff up and running is that you're going to have far fewer appointments, you know, like ridiculous, like easily 3, 4, 5 appointments max, assuming you treatment planned it ultimately. And we're going to get into that in a few minutes, which is going to save you a ton of money. It's going to make the patient happy. It's going to make you happy. It's going to make your staff happy because it doesn't, you know, gobble up all this chair time. It's a waste of money. So get that up and running before you set your prices. Make sure you know what you're doing. And that's going to be a little bit of an investment, but that's a tiny investment. Of course, treatment plans. I have hundreds, if not thousands of videos on optimizing your Invisalign or ClearCorrect treatment plans. You're welcome to work with us, you know, or another orthodontist on one-on-one if you want help, or you can just watch all our videos. All the information is free. It's not that hard. There's There's a lot of content there. If you optimize your Clincheck, optimize your ClearCorrect setup, you will have a good outcome, assuming you have that tracking stuff in order and the virtual resources. Those are really the two keys to doing this. And I know I haven't told you how much to charge yet, but again, there's so many things you have to keep in mind. What is being included in this whole orthodontic product? Like, most doctors are going to include records. Usually records are part of the fee, but sometimes it's not. So again, I'm asking you what's included. If the ClearCorrect or the Invisalign setup is a 5-year expiration date, what are you including? You're including the treatment plan, you're including the records, you're including the full set of aligners, whatever they need, including reboots, revisions, refinements, things like that. Well, we do, but we also put them on a very tight leash with check-ins, okay? And we also tell them, hey, we're estimating your plan to be about 40 aligners, 50 aligners, 60 aligners, and 18 months, 12 months. And we make it very clear to them, if the case gets delayed due to non-compliance, okay, and non-compliance is from the patient's not showing up, patient's not doing as directed, there will be additional fees. It's really important that you write that into your contract. Now, we have a few aligner contracts that are available in our store. They are free for our VIP concierge clients, stuff like that. If you are not one of our clients, you can purchase them at our store. They're just templates. You can make your own. I highly suggest you talk to your practice management company. You can talk to your liability insurance company. They might have templates for you already. You can talk to Invisalign. You can talk to ClearCorrect. They may or may not have stuff for you. A lot of times the territory managers have their own batch of paperwork that they'll just give to you. They're not necessarily going to have this stuff on the dashboard, but you can ask them. Because a lot of stuff I initially got when I got started from my TM, from my Invisalign territory manager, they gave me all kind of resources to get started that is not available in your Invisalign portal. You want to make sure you make it super clear to them that if they are non-compliant, if they're not behaving as directed and doing what they need to do as a patient, and then you have to kind of skirt around this a little bit, that there will be additional fees. Now, this can be a little tricky because if they are, another point, another variable we have to talk about is if they're an insurance patient, it can get a little bit hairy. You have your obligations, they have their obligations. You need to finish the case. But ultimately, you may, if they're being non-compliant, have to discontinue that case. Personally, for me, that makes it a lot easier than just playing games with them and wasting time and wasting chair time and wasting resources. You just tell them, look, this is obviously, the aligner's not working for you. But this is where, not working for you, I mean, like, this relationship isn't working, Like, maybe it's better you either not do treatment or you find another doctor who maybe is a better fit for you. We're going to go ahead and refund you a prorated refund. Again, this goes into that whole topic of billing for services rendered. And this is just basic paperwork. Whenever you have an aligner contract, you want to make sure they know that they will be paying if they choose to discontinue early, they move out of state, they change their mind, they're going to be billed for services rendered. How does that work? Now, the way we used to explain in our office is we explain services rendered is what has been completed, and it's definitely front loaded, okay? So that means up front, we're going to have a lab fee. We're going to have a fee for records. We're going to have a fee for treatment planning. We're going to have a fee for attachment placement. We're going to have a fee for IPR, whatever was done at the beginning. So if the total fee is $5,000, it's kind of like driving a new car off the lot. The second you get that delivery appointment, we've already charged out $3,000 of the $5,000 because most of that has been billed up front, okay? So then that remaining $2,000 after you walk out of that first appointment and got your first set of trays, the remaining, there's another, make $600 to $700 for the debond. That's going to be for final records and retention, okay? We're not charging them that, but that's how we're allocating their money. So if they chose to up and leave and change their mind after that first delivery appointment on day one, they've already have to pay $3,000. There's $2,000 left. They'll get a refund for $2,000 then. Fine. If they paid up front, no problem. Not sure how that's going to work with the insurance, but that's something you have to figure out. You want to call the insurance and ask. If they chose to finish, at a liner 10 out of 40, then it would be a little bit different. We would have $3,000 was already done at the first appointment. $700 was saved for the debond appointment. That leaves $1,300, which we finished 1/4 of the trays. So that's $300 or so dollars. So that's $3,300 that has been charged out. That's, $1,700 that is remaining. They'll get a refund for $1,700 or something like that. You get the idea, okay? So it's really important that either you type that out and explain how that works, and I've definitely seen that done, or you verbally explain it and explain to the patient and note that down. Because I can tell you that it's going to happen pretty more often than you think, that there's going to be patients like, I think I want to change my mind, I want a refund. And they thinking, oh, I'm 10 trays in out of 40, I'm only going to pay for 25% of the case. No, 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 that's not how that works. It's like any procedure. If I go get a surgery, I'm not getting a refund for the whole thing. I'm going to get a prorated refund for services rendered. That's basic. And it's probably in your basic contract for the office, your financial contract. But it's really, really, really important with aligners that you explain how that works. It's even a little bit different than braces, because braces, yes, you're going to have a more, freeloaded. I think we used to charge in our office more like a third, for banding, bonding, records, treatment planning, and then the rest was, there was something reserved for retainers, and the rest was more because there's more manipulations and more chair time, that happen with braces. So there's more over the lifetime of the treatment. So things to think about, right? All right. So what else? Okay. So we talked about, what's included, if the patient's non-compliant. So the next thing we need to really talk about is what's going to happen at the end, what's included at the end. Obviously, final records should be definitely included. Retainers, that's a little bit of a gray area. You're not required to require them. A lot of doctors charge extra. Personally, I think assessing an additional fee is garbage. I think that's not cool. I've never, ever done that. I think that retainers are what's going to happen if you start doing that. There's going to be people that just choose not to get them. Well, then they're going to relapse, and that's going to kind of be on you because you should have given them a pair. So I like to make sure that patients know that they will get one set of retainers with their plan, but that they will likely need more than one set in a lifetime, depending on what type we had, and that they are warranted for X amount of months against breakage. Okay. Usually we've done 30 days, something like that. I mean, obviously, if someone ran over them, that's a different story. But normal wear and tear. I mean, then you have to think about, again, I have a lot of handouts, again, on different types of retainer stuff and menus. I can definitely give you, again, these are free for our VIP concierge clients, and they're additional fee for those of you that aren't. But this is all things you have to decide before you even start your first case. What is included? And what is the warranty? What is the warranty on the retainers? How long are we warrantying them for? And what is the fee outside the warranty? Obviously, we're telling them they're going to need more than one set in the lifetime. Some patients have to replace the retainers every 6 months for life. Well, you better let them know what the cost is going to be up front, because they're going to be really mad. Now, I always recommend one set of retainers, whether you make in-house, you send out to a local lab. But it's strongly recommended that they upgrade. Either you create your own retainer subscription program and they pay a bill, and they get a fresh retainer every 6 months, or they can just purchase a set of Viveras, which comes with 4 uppers and 4 lowers. That should hold them for many, many, many years. And then they can always get another Vivera set later down the road. I mean, unless you've, like my brother, who keeps losing his retainers, he gets these Viveras, he stashes them in his closet, and he loses them, has to constantly get new ones. That 4 uppers and 4 lowers should really last you. That should not be a problem, unless you are a crazy clencher or glider or just doing stupid things with your retainers. I don't see why that's going to be a problem. Now, the lab fee on the Viveras is about almost $300 for me. We generally charge no additional fee for that. We just charge our regular. We don't make any money on the Viveras from the upgrade if they purchase it at the time of debond. And we make that crystal clear to them. You're going to get one set of retainers included, or you can upgrade at no additional cost, just our fee, the fee that is charged to us, including shipping, which is $310 or whatever, including shipping, and you'll get 4 uppers and 4 lowers. That basically comes out to $33 per retainer or something like that. I mean, that's the cheapest thing possible, and they're the best possible retainers that are out there. We're going to give you that, if you want that instead at that cost, so they can choose. But they would have to pay for that at the debond scan appointment if they want that. Otherwise, they're just going to get a pair of in-house, basic, not too snazzy retainers in a boring plastic case, and they're not quite as good, but it's adequate. But those will wear out faster, so they need to plan on replacing those every 6 months, and you need to replace them before they wear out, because once they start to wear out, and we can't predict when they're going to wear out. Some people can use them for years, 10 years, 5 years. Really depends on the acidity of your saliva and your grinding and your muscles, and there's so many variables that can affect the wear down of retainers. I can't predict it, so we recommend that you replace them every 6 months, that you get many, many, many pairs and stockpile them, and as soon as they start to look worn down, you switch them out. But that's just our recommendation, and only one set is included with treatment. So It's like wear and tear on your car. I mean, you buy a new car, you're still going to have to go get new tires, change the oil, things like that. Same thing with orthodontics. It's better to explain that stuff up front before they even start treatment, and even better if you can put it in writing. So I don't have all these documents. I have some stock documents because everyone does things slightly differently. You need to brainstorm with your team and type it all out, write it all up, have an attorney write it up, have someone write it up, whatever you want to do, and figure out what's included, what's not included, what the patient can expect. Okay, now let's talk about relapse. Anytime you do ortho, relapse is going to probably happen. Some settling is normal, but actual relapse is not normal. I always recommend that you take photos with, of course, you're going to take your full set of final records at the debond appointment, not later. If they cannot sit for the whole debond appointment the whole time, they don't need to get their braces off or get their attachments off. They cannot walk, they don't get the retainers until we've done the final records. That is 100% necessity. But you also take a set of photos with the retainers in, always. Why? Because it's he said, she said. You don't know how many times I had patients that said, oh, my retainers never fit. Well, that's BS, because I know they fit because I delivered them. But then I started taking retainer fit photos. They would forget I took them. I'm like, boom, look, they fit. I have photos. So now they don't fit. So that means you didn't wear them, or you damaged them, or you stepped on them, or something like that. That's on them. So whenever you have relapse, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the retainers. If they are fitting and there's relapse, it's a bit of a gray area. Again, we're going to have that warranty for 30, 60, 90 days on shifting or relapse. What's really, really nice, and that's another reason why I like to do the unlimited plan or the Invisalign Unlimited, is that if we still are within that window of whenever that 5 years is from when you started the treatment, I'm going to offer a discounted relapse correction. Basically it's going to be, because there's going to be no lab fee, so it's only going to be at my cost. So maybe we're charging $800, $1,000 to correct it, do 10 more aligners or something like that. I mean, that's a great deal. They're not paying a brand new thing outside that window. And that's another reason why I don't like to do light or moderate or express, is that I'm not going to have that window. And it does happen sometimes, whether it's on me or on them, I don't know, but at least I can offer them a very, very discounted retreatment. Or basically is just paying for my time. There's no lab fee for either of us, so it's really not a big deal. We're taking a scan. We might not even need attachments. It's super easy breezy, right? But you need to think about that. What is your relapse window? And if the retainer fit, and if I had retainer photos and this relapse is just weird and we don't know why, and it's within the first year or so, and the patient has gone to every single retainer appointment. Again, another topic, what's being included? We're saying we're including at least one set of retainers, but you need to include retainer appointments too, up to a period of time. Usually we're going to, include them for up to a year. But the warranty is going to be 30, 60, 90 days, on shifting with proper wear and tear of the retainers. But, I'm generally a little bit flexible about that. But it kind of depends on the situation. I mean, you get to know your patients. You know who's compliant. You know who's not. You know who makes their appointments. You know who's responsible. After 2 years with the patient, you know the family. So if something weird happened and this was a very compliant patient, or it's a very good patient to your practice and you haven't had any issues with them, we're usually going to no charge, any type of retreatment on that. Occasionally it happens, right? And it's very, very upsetting and frustrating when it does. So... But, if on the flip side, if it's a patient that's been no-showing a lot and clearly wasn't doing what they needed to do, well, then there's going to be a fee for that. So, but again, you need to put that all up front. What's being included, what's not. What happens 2 years down the road if they want a retreatment, Is this a brand new case? Is there going to be a discount? What happens 2 years down the road if they need 2 more retainers? What's the fee going to be? Are you going to put it on the piece of paper? That's good if they know what their fees are. And then these cases, sometimes you can figure out, a cost per aligner. Maybe this is a good fit for the white label aligners at that point, or the in-house aligners, which are a lot cheaper at $20. They may not need the actual Invisalign aligners at that point. So I think I pretty much touched on, also cost could be related to if the insurance or not, if it's cash or not. Are they financing it? Are you getting your money up front? Obviously, if we're getting all of it up front, we're going to give more of 5-10% discount, depending if it was, credit card or cash, than if they're paying monthly. I like to charge the same price for braces as I do for Invisalign or aligners, just because I don't want patients to pick something that's going to be a lot more work and a lot more chair time for me because it's cheaper. Just flat, make it the same price, That way they can pick whatever's best for them, and finances are not really an option, because ultimately, even though you're maybe paying a higher lab fee up front, you're actually going to save a lot of time. So you're actually probably going to save money on that, assuming you're doing the right treatment plan. But things to think about, right? I think the biggest mistake doctors make is that they require that $2,000 down. I mean, that's ridiculous. You're going to get so much less patients. I know you're paying a big fee on the front end, but also you can always send your patient to collections if they don't go. So, I mean, and also if it's a patient you don't know at all, then you can go ahead and make them do third-party financing for that. But if it's an existing patient in your office that has a great track record, well, then just trust them. Take that $500 down or that $400 down. I wouldn't do no down, but definitely you can take something down and you can go ahead and deliver it. You don't have to give them all 50 aligners. You can give them 3, and then they can get more once they're caught up. But there's a lot of things you can do there. So, phew, all right. There's a lot of information there. So all kind of things for you to think about in your head in terms of developing your systems, your operations, and your product, your menu of services, what's included from start to finish, warranties, things like that. Unless you figure out everything, we really can't suggest a fee for you. But I'm going to go ahead and suggest a fee anyways. I'm going to tell you what people are generally charging in the US right now. It's really actually quite varied. I would say and I'm only going to talk about the unlimited comprehensive product with one set of retainers, because that's what I recommend. So I would say it's as low as $39.99. That's a little bit on the low side, but there's definitely people who do it. They'll do it just because they want to get that 25 cases in 6 months so they can get that 10% discount. Yes, it's going up to 10% this July, which really, really helps. So they're thinking in their mind, okay, I'm taking a tiny bit of a loss on this. Maybe not actually taking a loss, because, your lab fee is going to be, with the one set of retainers, about $2,200. You're still making about $1,700 profit, assuming you're using virtual resources, virtual check-ins, your patients being compliant, and you're keeping them on a super tight leash. But I would say more average is about $5,000, $49,000 to $51,000, somewhere in there. On the high end would be $6,000. There's a few people in New York, San Francisco that are charging $6,000. But, you get there's a whole window from $4,000 to $6,000. But I always tell my consumers, these are the same questions I tell them to ask, is my case going to be comprehensive? If they're doing a limited case on you, or an express or a light or a go, they're not going to have good as an outcome. They're not moving all the teeth. Well, then they should charge a heck of a lot less if that's what they're doing. So, I mean, these prices are for comprehensive prices. And also ask the questions. What happens? Like I said, what happens if I lose an aligner? Is there going to be a fee for that? What happens if there's relapse 1, 2, 3 months after treatment? Is there going to be a fee for retreatment? What is it going to be? How many retainers are being included? What type of retainers are there? Are records included? Are retainer checks included, or do they cost money? Unless you know all those answers, you don't know what to charge. But hopefully that gave you some idea in terms of developing your pricing structure. Now, secondarily, I kind of have that more flex a la carte pricing structure. I really don't recommend that until you have your systems up and running, because you will lose money on that, and patients tend to get way more upset and more frustrated. There is a time and a place for that pay-as-you-go kind of thing, but you really can't do it with insurance. So, and I'm telling you, it's going to get really, really, really messy, and you're going to get that kind of patients, which isn't probably the kind of patients you want in your practice. It just is so much more stressful for all involved. So I really don't love that idea. But as needed, you could develop that out. Whole different set of paperwork. You're going to have way stricter rules and instructions on payments, But you could definitely do that. Would I do that with Invisalign? Probably not. I would probably use the in-house aligners, and that's what we've done in the past. And we've done that more for friends and family members. There's always that friends and family members have super easy case, like just moving that lower incisor a tiny bit, and they're like, I don't want to pay, lab fee. I don't want to pay $2,000. I just want to pay per aligner. And you're looking at it and you're like, I know this is only going to be 5 uppers and 5 lowers, so I'm just going to charge them, pay as we go fees. In that case, your lab fee is only going to be $200 or $300 if you use the white label. No, you're not going to make any money on it, but it's a good way not to waste your Invisalign cases and to lose money. Save the Invisalign cases for the people that are paying full price. So, all right, thanks so much.